Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Roll Call. I'm your host, Joseph Jackalone. And according to the federal prosecutors, plea negotiations are already in play in the NBA scandal. And with us today is the latest contributor to the LA Magazine, Lauren Conlin, everyone's favorite. How are you doing, Lauren?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be with you, Joe. I miss you so much. I was saying this off the air. I really miss you.
I'm glad. Well, Maria said I had my Charlie Parker shirt on. This is the, she hates the
I
shirt.
love it. She's like, who are you dressing up for, Joe? I'm like, don't worry. Maria, it's
So,
not like that, I promise.
So anyway, for those of you that are just joining us, we're streaming for the first time on X and Facebook Live just to try something out. So we're gonna see how this goes. But Lauren, you were on the scene yesterday in Brooklyn Federal Court.
Yes.
Chauncey Billups, who is a NBA basketball Hall of Famer, who I had heard of, and I'm not really a big basketball fan, probably because I'm short. Other than that, so tell us what's going on with this because this thing is getting big now. The Fed's saying that there's plea negotiations, and we can all speculate what that means, right? People are
Well,
talking.
yeah. I mean, I think that if you're not familiar with this case, I mean, there are 31, and this is, I guess there are two sort of parallel indictments here, but one, the media is calling Operation Royal Flush. So that's the NBA players or I guess Chauncey Billups, who's a coach. He was the coach of the Portland Trailblazers. He's clearly suspended right now, whatever you want to call it. I don't see him ever getting back to the NBA. And then Damon Jones, who was a former player. He was an unofficial coach for the Lakers as well. But those are the two NBA players with Operation Royal Flush. And then the rest are mob associates. I mean, there's no such thing as the mob, Joe. You know that. Just want to put that out there, okay? Yeah. So, and then the other indictment is Terry Rozier, who plays for the Miami Heat. And that indictment is about the prop betting or legal prop betting, which is like individual betting on a player where, a player could throw a game based on an injury, whatever. I had to learn all about this, by the way, because me and sports, they don't mix well. But I've been covering so many athletes getting into trouble these days that, yeah, it's crazy. So yesterday was the arraignment of Chauncey Billups in New York. He was previously arraigned in Oregon where he was arrested. And then the 31 other defendants had a status conference hearing. So, I mean, Joe, I kind of think the only person that will be going to trial here is Chauncey Billups. I cannot see all these other guys go. I mean, I just feel like
he's the biggest fish here. He's the biggest name.
Well, and like him taking a plea on a felony, that's not going to fly for him. I mean, that if his life isn't already ruined, it would be taking a felony plea. Damon Jones, I think the evidence would be significant against him. There are some pretty damning text messages. And I think that if he was offered like 4 years versus 40 because they're facing it's offenses related to conspiracy of money laundering and wire fraud. That's like 40 years. So if he can take 4 years, I would take it. Same with these other mob guys who have already done time, right?
Well, like I said, this is akin to what I always even talk about in police corruption. I mean, once these bad guys, once they get you, they own you. And they're the ones that are going to get away with a lot of this stuff. And the people who took the bribes or who took these things, they're the ones that are going to get hammered. Let's give a shout out to Gisela, Grizzly True Crime. Good morning, Gisela. Good to see you.
Oh my gosh, remember when I said her name wrong? I'm still embarrassed about that. I still want to hide under my desk or being like, Gisela. I feel stupid. So stupid. Gosh, anyway.
So we have like 31 or 34 different people involved in this. And it's just not about maybe throwing games. It's about these poker machines, these shuffling machines. They had and listen, cell phone records already showing this, internet records, video surveillance. I mean, this is just, people think like this is just like one little one-off scam where they were trying to do. No, this thing is absolutely huge. I mean, it has some serious repercussions.
Well, so yes. And so what the government is alleging is that, let me just start with this. Chauncey Billups in the indictment, it only connects him to one game in Vegas in 2019, but they're alleging that he made 50 grand off of that game. And he basically they used him and Damon Jones as face cards. This is an FBI term. Obviously face cards is, poker, but they're calling them face cards for being like, hey, look, this game is legit. We've got Chauncey Billups here. You know, obviously this game is legit. So they're saying that he was aware of these rigged shuffling machines. And I mean, they have pictures in the indictment of you know, X-ray vision tables where you can see through them. I mean, you know, they've got someone looking at the cards underneath them and then sending messages to somebody at a different location who's sending messages back to the person at the table, telling them what their opponents have. Is that what they're called in poker, opponents? But yeah, so Chauncey at one game, I'm kind of like, I feel like you might be able to fight this. But there's also, for some of the mob guys, the Hobbs Extortion Act that they're charged with, because apparently they got robbed of this shuffling machine and they went to a location in Queens and they beat the shit out of whoever had it, allegedly. And then there are text messages from about 3 or 4 of the defendants about this machine. So, and also the judge deemed this a complex, or designated this a complex case. So right now there are only, I think, 2 or 3 of the guys. No, there's 2 guys in custody at MDC right now, 2 mob affiliates. And when the judge said that they were going to exclude time from now until March, you could just see these guys like you could just see their face. They were like not happy about that, because many of you are aware you are entitled to go to trial within 70 days of, what is it, the arrest or the arraignment? I'm not sure.
Arraignment usually has to be within 5 days anyway, so it's pretty close.
Okay. So yeah, so it should be within the arraignment. So, you know, the government's like, this is a complex case. We've got a terabyte of discovery coming. So because of this, you know, we're gonna exclude time. And the judge is like, yeah, that's fine. And then the next hearing's in March. Yeah, these guys are like, great, I'm gonna live at the MDC.
Well, unfortunately that's where it goes. I mean, the feds have their rules, right? I know New York State has its rules about discovery, and that pushes it up. But if they can prove that there's an overdue burden on this, they have to let them do it. It's as simple as that. And it's actually in the benefit of the defendants too, because they get all of the discovery material. Nothing is held. We don't have to worry about Brady material and all the stuff that's going to go along with it. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, listen, there's text messages where the one guy is saying about, what is this, the Genovese family, and the guy says no, the Gambinos, right? So if anybody was saying, oh, you know, the mob is dead, whatever, listen, the mob is built to be in perpetuity. It's never going to end. It's just that they've been a lot more covert these years from the days of John Gotti. It's as simple as that.
Oh yeah, and you know, I'm in the security line yesterday going into the courthouse, and there's a guy in front of me, and I just looked down at his shoes. Joe, they're these like beautiful like snakeskin loafers with like a nice little buckle, and I was like, "Ooh, I like your shoes." And he's like, you know, really nice. He's like, "Thank you." And then I was just like, "Are you here for the 10 a.m. Status conference hearing for the poker games?" And he's like, "Unfortunately, yes." And I was like, got it. He was so nice, like so nice.
Yeah.
Had a beautiful woman by his side and this nice fur coat, you know, and I'm like, damn, this is so interesting. This is fascinating.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, that some of these cases go back to 2022, 2023 games. I mean, this has been a long-term investigation. And you know what? I like to see, I know a lot of people have given grief about the FBI, you know, for the last 5-6 years. But you know what? It transitioned from the other administration into this administration, and they kind of kept up the case, which is actually kind of interesting how it kind of just flowed together in that respect. And we want to see if there's going to be any bumps in the road. But usually the feds, they're pretty good with this stuff.
I mean, I've been very vocal about this. I've not been super impressed with Cash and Pam. And with this particular case, and same with like, this one more so than the MLB, these are great headlines, Joe. And, you know, I think we've talked about, these are like really attention grabbing headlines, NBA and the mob. And, you know, when Cash made the announcement, you know, we have a sweeping indictment. He was very dramatic. He was very proud. And I was just like, my conspiracy little, you know, siren went off. And I was like, do you want to distract us from Charlie Kirk and from the Epstein files? Because I think you do. I was like, just for a minute. I mean, just for a minute. I kind of was like, you know.
Yeah, well, that'll be for another show for sure. Jeez. But there's this other guy, Rozier.
Yeah, Terry Rozier. Yeah.
Terry Rozier. Okay, yeah. So he allegedly left the game with an injury, and then it was about an over and under with the points. I mean, listen, we have to. There has to be a public discourse eventually about these online betting things. I mean, they call it micro betting, right? I mean, you could bet on when the stoplight's going to change. I mean, it's craziness.
Why? Wait, are you serious? Because that's wild if that's true.
Yeah, well,
Like,
not
you
about the
really
traffic
can bet
light,
on a
but
stoplight being changed? Really?
well,
Like, that's
no,
crazy.
yeah, no, I was being facetious at this
Oh, I
point,
was like, what? If that's a
but
thing,
the
that would be
micro
funny.
betting
Like,
is no, but the micro betting thing. We're going to get into it, but the baseball about every pitch, right? So each individual little thing. I mean, if that's where we're headed, boy, this is not good for Major League Sports because you're looking at the NBA.
mhm.
We're gonna get into the MLB scandal in a few minutes, and then eventually we're gonna hear about NFL thing other than Antonio Brown trying to shoot people. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I spoke to some guys that, were former NFL players, and just because I wanted to get some more information about, do you think the NFL is coming next? Or is that what's happening?
yeah,
And they
you
were like,
got to.
they're like, in my opinion, they said, it's way tougher to pull that off as a football player, only because it's such a team sport. Of course, you could fake injuries and go things or do things the Terry Rozier way, but overall, they just said it might be a little bit tougher. But
Yeah, unless you get the quarterback, right? The quarterback would be the one who could really do damage to a
right,
case. So I mean,
yeah,
and there's whatever 28 teams or whatever it is. So you have to be mindful of that. But listen,
yeah,
the this is all electronic, so it's
mhm,
going to leave a trail. So if they get on an electronic trail somewhere, they're going to follow the money like they always do, and it's going to
mhm,
lead to a lot. I mean,
yeah.
this is not good for sports. This isn't good for sports.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why these very wealthy men, minus Damon Jones, and just throwing this out there, Damon Jones, he is using his parents' $200,000 house in Texas. Like, he's putting that up for his bond and using his parents as suretors. And Chauncey Billups, on the other hand, had a $5 million bond, which was wild. I was very surprised. I mean, I guess not so much because he has a lot more money, but Damon Jones, I'm like, what happened to you? Where did all your money go? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, the issue that really comes down to is, the old saying is that there's good money and there's bad money. I mean, you're making $6-7 million a year playing a sport, and then you're doing this for 10,000. I mean, there's
That,
some bigger issues at play here.
that's what that's what I'm saying too. I like it's weird. So it makes you think like, did something else happen? Do you owe people money? Do you owe somebody something? But look, like, the mob doesn't exist, right? But it's much different. And you know it too, Joe. It's much different than it was in the 90s, even the early 2000s. I mean, I I shouldn't even say this, but like, I do you remember the Friars Club, the New York Friars Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a club that reopened. It's where, comedians they originated the roast. So when I was doing strictly entertainment stuff, red carpets, whatever, I became like a junior member of the Friars Club. Met a lot of people there. A lot of those guys were members. And I gotta say, like, much different. They are not the guys that you see in Goodfellas, whatever. Obviously, people can say that I'm naive. I didn't see things behind the scenes.
It's generational too. It's
Very,
generational too.
yes.
I mean, listen, I see it in policing where I see the stuff that's happening on TV now and going, and I talk to some of the other guys I know, and they're like, could you imagine if this was going on when we were doing this stuff? There would be a much different kind of situation at the end.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, we're getting old. So
So
we
true.
were trained differently and we were dealt with things differently. But yeah, no, listen, the mob is there. It's always will be, and it's always going to rear its ugly head. And just like I said before, I started off just like in
Mhm.
policing, the people who get involved in this who had the most to lose, those are the ones that are going to lose. These
Mhm.
guys, they don't care. They'll go to jail for a couple of years. They'll come out and they'll do something else. It's not going to affect them. It's not going to affect their
No.
families. It's not going to affect their job, their careers, their chances at the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame. Right? This guy, Chauncey Billups,
Yep.
if he
Yep.
if he is involved in this and he's found guilty, I mean, they've already stripped him of his job. Are they going to strip him from the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame too, and all the other things that go along with? I mean, these are
Uh,
these are the things that you should
you
think about.
know, that would I don't would that be fair if they don't strip somebody of an Oscar? I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head where somebody has committed
I don't know.
I don't know how that works either. Like, I don't But you're right. You're right. And so if you don't mind, that actually is a really good segue for me just to bring up Ortiz and Clase,
Yeah,
the
let's do
MLB
that.
players. Yeah, just because I was shocked to hear this. So when we were in court for the arraignment of Emmanuel Clase, who makes he makes I think $4 to $5 million a year, they announced that he had a contract with the Cleveland Guardians. Sorry,
Guardians, yes.
they changed their name so many times. Yeah, the Guardians. He had a contract with them. It was a $20 million yes, sorry, I was right the first time. $10 million contract with the ability to bump it up to like $13 million or something the next year, and then 14 or $15 million the next year. And he had his family there too. He had his wife there, really, cute young girl. They're in their 20s. I was sitting there like, dude, you just blew up your life. You can't even take a plea deal right now. Like you have no choice but to go to trial and hopefully be found innocent, or else you're done. You're literally done. I mean, can you imagine?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
They said in the indictment at a certain point, and obviously he made more money than this, but at a certain point, it was like $7,000 a pitch or something like that. And I was just like, I'm like, what? Like, this is so crazy. And then he was the one, Clase, convinced Ortiz to join. Ortiz, he makes less than $1 million a year. Makes, 785,000. He's newer.
Yeah,
I think he's
minimum.
20. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, makes a little more sense for this guy to be like, yeah, I could use the money. But yeah,
Yeah, and in baseball too, it comes up with this, but they fired an umpire not too long ago. This guy Pat Hoberg, I think it was, for sharing his betting account with somebody who was betting on major league games. So they fired him. So
what does that matter? I guess I didn't look too much into that.
Well, I think it was under his name, the account, and somebody else was placing bets on using his account. So
okay.
the impropriety of it all looks really bad. Or the optics look really bad. Not to saying that this guy was doing it, but the other guy betting on baseball games, and it's his case, so I think the optics were just absolutely awful, and Major League Baseball dealt with it pretty harshly. They said, you're out, you're fired.
That's such a good point. Like, they have no patience. And the MLB, they're cooperating, the NBA cooperating.
Well, think of the consequences. Think of the consequences for these sports leagues. That if people believe that every game is fixed, or there's a chance of being fixed, or every time there's a game or something weird happens with a referee, people are going to be looking at they're going to be doing that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, right? And he's going like this.
Yes.
And they're going to say, and this is what's going to happen, right? So you'll lose your credibility. People will stop watching. Endorsements stop coming. I mean, the avalanche that happens afterwards, if you can not get out of this, is pretty damning. So they better get on top of it. As a matter of fact, Bob Manfred, the MLB president, I think he's called him the president or commissioner.
Yeah, commissioner.
He's been subpoenaed to Congress.
Oh, wait, when was this? I missed that.
Yeah.
I gotta write
so I don't know
down,
if this was.
I can write this after.
Yeah, Bob Manfred, who is the Major League Baseball commissioner, has been subpoenaed to talk to Congress.
Wow.
And they're gonna, basically, from what I read about this, that they basically want to know what MLB is doing in regards to identifying issues that come up. In regards to this, how their internal investigations are going. I mean, when I'm watching this, Lauren, I'm thinking that this is like the police department dealing in, inside corruption of cops. I mean, how IB would handle it. I mean, it's the same language, the same things going over. And I'm going to tell you right now, all of these sports teams, if they don't have this internal investigations teams up to snuff, they better start doing it, because this is what's coming.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it, pitching would definitely, in baseball, MLB, I think that would be the easiest place to do something like this, right? I mean, think of how many
the umpires. Or the umpires.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And so apparently these guys were also like in the dugout. You're not supposed to use your phone, but they were using a phone or whatever, a device, to send messages through Telegram or some kind of app, like to the Dominican Republic, with these guys that they were in bed with, with these bets. And it's just like, it's wild. And it's just a crazy risk versus reward. Crazy, 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 not worth it. But we're all human. We all fall short. We're all sinners, right? Like,
It's temptations. It's temptations. I mean, I remember as a
exactly.
young cop in the in the academy, and they're telling you about all these different temptations that you're going to run across. I mean, you're making $30,000 an hour, and you're gonna walk into a
Here.
drug den, and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash there, right? What stops somebody from what we were used to refer to as going native, where you become the bad guy? And I think we're starting to see that with the pervasiveness of these gambling apps. I mean, everything is, I my social media timelines are flooded with this stuff. Yes, because you're searching for it. They know that you're looking for
Yeah.
this stuff. Next thing you know, they want me to bet on all these games. Listen, I work too hard for my money to give it away on a stupid ball game.
I
You know,
know, I know.
but
It's so true. And you bring up the stuff about being a cop. The Shield, one of my favorite shows. All the dirty cops. Michael, he was what was that guy's name? Michael.
Michael Chiklis.
Oh my gosh, he was my favorite dirty cop ever. I was like, I love this. Like, it was interesting, but man, it always bites you in the ass. So
It,
yeah,
it's it. All I could tell people that don't do this, guys, because you're gonna. I mean, just listen. I have a feeling they're gonna make an example out of these guys, and that's why I think that the punishment is gonna be harsh. And I'm
mhm,
not talking about the punishment from the federal government. Yeah, they might go to jail. They might not go to jail. But I'm talking
yeah.
about what the leagues are gonna do to them. What
Oh,
they're the social stigma that's going to be attached to this. They're
mhm.
going to set an example. That's the only way you can deter this behavior, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, and they should also be thankful that their arraignment was with a magistrate judge who won't be overseeing their case, because what I witnessed with their magistrate judge, Joe, that judge uh was going above and beyond release conditions with what the government wanted, to the point where in the Eastern District of New York, they're very, oh my gosh, wait, sorry, I'm looking at that comment. That's
Yeah, I
so
thought
funny.
going native was something that not in
That's
policing
so
we used to
funny.
say
Oh, that's
going
great.
native is like you were dealing with all the bad guys, so you become a bad guy yourself.
That's so funny. Yeah, I probably would have thought going native was something else too. But no, in the
Boy.
sorry, sorry, but in the Eastern District, you sometimes have to wait for other arraignments and whatever. So I watched this judge add location monitoring ankle bracelets to basically the two MLB players and
Yeah.
two dudes before them when the government did not ask. And I gotta say, they weren't really flight risks. Like, one guy's like said he had a girlfriend in Korea and he was Korean, but like his lawyer's like, he's never even been to Korea before. He has no intention. And the judge is like, I don't care, location. And I'm like, wait, this is weird. Like,
The
why did
feds don't play. They don't play.
yeah,
This is not the district attorney's office in Manhattan where everybody
yep,
gets out, and everyone knows your name and you could get out 75 times. Listen, once the feds get a hold of you, you're finished.
yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And yeah, don't get me started. I already went last time I was at Manhattan Criminal Court, Joe. I watched a female judge. I'll just say her name, Ann Scherzer. She let a Venezuelan trafficker out on release. Okay, he was a driver allegedly for a trafficking service in Brooklyn, where he would drive the victims to and from. And if they said they didn't want to do it, he was the muscle. And she's like, "Yeah, I think $300,000 is good." I was like, I gotta walk on the street with that guy? Like, who?
Hey,
I'm sorry,
listen,
what?
we're seeing it every day. We're seeing it every day.
But
But
nobody reports on it because it's not like a huge case, right? I was sitting there waiting for the crypto guys when I saw this, and I was just like, what in the hell? I was like, I hate New York sometimes. Like, crazy. Yeah.
let's segue. So yeah, I want you to, for your next LA Magazine article, is to take a look at the micro betting thing and talk
Yeah.
about that, because I think that's going to be the next big discussion on what happens with these sports teams. Because when you start analyzing just that little change, because they're looking at over and under with points and this and
Yeah.
that and strikes and balls. I mean, they are. Yeah, the next pitch is going to be a strike, and they're betting on this. I mean, this is craziness.
I wrote down, yeah, Bob Banford. I'm gonna look all that up after. I gotta see that. That's crazy. I'm very interested.
So, in the
So
same realm, but a different area, let's get into Mark Sanchez, former NFL quarterback. I know you've been covering this story too.
yes,
Uh, this is
yes,
actually a bizarre story. So, allegedly, he is drunk out of his mind. He gets into a fight with a truck driver, right, in a Westin hotel loading dock. That's how this whole thing starts.
it was in
It's a little
between.
fuzzy how this happens.
Yeah, it was in between two hotels. And I have to say, I have been trying to get a piece out, like a piece out on Mark
An
Sanchez.
article?
Yeah. Not just about the court docs and, updating people, but I recently met a close friend of his, believe it or not. And this guy is involved with sports and whatever. And I'm trying to get him to sort of go on the record. If he doesn't, it's fine. But all he's been saying is that Mark Sanchez is the nicest guy, and he is so shocked by this. And if you think about it, nothing crazy. I mean, he had an incident in, I think it was 2005 at USC, where there was allegations of rape. He was never charged. I don't know what came of that at all. But besides that, there's never been anything crazy that's come out about him. And even now, you don't have TMZ and, OK Magazine putting out stories saying Mark's, he does this all the time per so-and-so. So it really leaves you wondering, Joe, like, what the hell happened that night? Like, where's the talk so we can see if he was on drugs, how much alcohol he had? I mean, Perry told the victim said that when Mark leaned over to be like, you can't be in here. He said, he actually was saying like, you can't be here. Like Mark was like the manager of the hotels telling him to leave. And Perry told in the, I think it was the civil suit where he was sort of describing what happened, or maybe it was the probable cause. He just was like, yo, you smell like like you smell really bad, like really bad booze. So
well, the lawsuit, there's a civil lawsuit that just came out, and they're suing the bar for over serving him. The one, even when he went before, but then he went to another bar, so that's included in the lawsuit now. So excuse me. So anyway, he gets into this fight with this guy. This guy thinks he's going to kill him, so he takes out his knife and stabs him. First, he pepper sprayed him, and
so
then
apparently it was what do you call it? Expired, the pepper spray. That's why,
so it
because
didn't
you're
work.
picturing like Mark Sanchez is like, a giant, like in Jack and the Beanstalk, where he's like, like, wipes the pepper spray and just comes at him. But apparently, it was,
in my experience, I've seen pepper spray not work on people, even when it's good. I mean, it depends. Depends
really?
on weather too. If it's cold, it doesn't really work too well. It works
Oh.
really when it's warm or in indoors kind of thing. Yeah, pepper spray is not all cut out to what it used to, to what expected to be.
Telling me
So
this now, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so confident, and I like mess with people because I know I have pepper spray. No, I'm just kidding. But I am like overly confident because I'm like, yeah, I've got a huge can of this in my purse. Now I'm like,
yeah, it's you got it like everything else, and then you don't want it used on you either, because if the wind blows it back in your face, there's a lot of
true,
issues with it in that respect.
true.
So, I mean, listen, the guy lost his job at Fox Sports. They got rid of him right away. Once again, I'm talking about the consequences of what
Oh,
happens. These guys aren't messing around in
mm-hmm.
regards to, because it looks bad for them, so they're like out. And
Yeah, I feel very confused. Perry told you, if you saw those pictures of him, he was in bad shape. He is a 70-year-old man. Mark Sanchez, a huge ex-quarterback in his 30s. Guy, what are you doing? What are you doing? And
yeah,
just knowing that everyone says he's like the sweetest guy ever, or I've talked to 3 people who have said this. It's confusing. And so I am interested to hear what he has to say when his lawyers say, okay, you can actually talk about this, without him coming out of the hospital looking down, being like, I just want to thank the hospital. Like, that was a bad look, in my opinion,
well,
too.
they upped the charges, right? Or initially, they didn't give him a misdemeanors, but they upped the charges to felony battery, which is assault in a, just about. But they out west, they call these things battery, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's assault here in New York. I mean, it is what it is. And
Yep.
but so he's looking at felony charges now. He's not in a good spot. Let's put it that way. I don't see
No.
him being able to get a plea out of this and walking away without having to do any jail time.
Well, I don't think so, only because they seemingly have overwhelming. I mean, they had, I think on the discovery motion, there were 30 officers total listed who would have some kind of either body cam footage, or, they were on the scene that night. There was a witness in his car who actually recorded part of it. So they've got a lot. I mean, they've got a lot here. So I FOIA requested the body cam footage like immediately. I was like, oh my God, I got to see this. Like, so I haven't heard back. clearly. But I'm hoping that maybe right before the trial starts, I'll get it. I mean, who knows? Or, I mean, you don't think they'll offer any kind of plea or he'll take anything? I don't know. You think it'll go to trial?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they might, in order to save him some face, so to speak, if they offer him a plea that's, listen, is he going to jail for 7 years? No. I mean,
Mm-mm. Max is
he
six
can,
for this.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
going to get, he could get 2 years and he'd have to do a year or less. I mean, I don't know if they're going to let him go and just say, okay, you're a famous person. This is a misunderstanding. And the
Yeah.
civil lawsuit's going to be really damaging too on top of
Oh,
this. So,
that's going to destroy him. I mean, dude, uh, yeah, I think he's done with that. Perry Toll is going to be a very rich man, in my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, that's like I said. I bet you he's more worried about the civil suit than the
yeah,
actual criminal case.
I could see that. I could totally see that. But we'll see. I mean, again, December 11th is when he is set for jury selection to start. So
If you're just joining us now, Lauren Conlin, contributor to LA Magazine, and her own show, Pop Crime TV, and we gotta get you back on there because we saw all that great coverage you did with the Diddy trial.
I know I
So
did upload a Chauncey video yesterday.
okay, great.
So yeah, so I did.
So the link is being shared. So make sure everyone goes over that and sees
Well,
on Pop
thank
Crime
you.
TV.
And also, thank you for bringing up LA Mag. I also run, or I don't run, but I do a podcast, like a mini podcast daily for their YouTube channel. So you can find that as well. It's like a pop culture scandals, crime news
Okay,
daily
cool.
pod. Yeah, it's about, between 10 and 13 minutes every morning. So
Well, you are a very busy woman here. So this
yeah.
is great. So thanks for carving out the time for us. And make sure you don't forget about us little people when you make it huge, all right?
Oh, stop. No, you don't forget about me, okay? I mean, wait, Joe, can we talk a little bit about Celeste and David right now? Because
Yeah,
I have
that's what
some
I want to
questions.
finish up with. Yeah.
Okay. So I have some questions here based on the LAPD coming out to LA Times and People magazine last night. Now, Joe and I, we talked about this offline. You and I talked on the phone a little bit about this Sunday because I was
Yeah.
like, and you would call this, you're like, you just said, I don't buy the frozen thing, right?
Mhm.
You said that initially. I was under the impression that obviously she wasn't found frozen in the trunk. And I'm sorry to be so matter of fact. I am not desensitized to this little girl's life. I just want to put that out there. I truly am not. My heart breaks for her, but I will be a little bit matter of fact right now. So I just assumed, like, yeah, no way she was frozen in the trunk. This leak or this source that came from TMZ and this source came from the Emmy's office per TMZ, right? Fine.
Yeah.
I'm assuming and it came on Saturday, and this court order blocking the Emmy's office to release anything was Friday that
Right.
they were served with this. So the leak was Saturday. I had said Saturday, there is something going on where the
Yeah, I agree.
LAPD and the Emmy's office, they do not agree on the handling of this case. They don't agree. I mean, for the LAPD to put out a statement in September saying, well, we don't know if there's any criminal culpability beyond concealment of a body. You're like, all right, well, you guys said it was dismembered. So what about abuse of a corpse? You just left that out, whatever. So, this leak happens. And again, I was just under the impression that they did some testing. So they saw how, the cellular movement of the body, it was frozen and then it thawed out. And that's that. Well, then the report comes out where basically the chief of police said, no, like it was never frozen. Well, Joe, do you think that they're doing damage control or I just don't understand how it's like you don't say anything, right? And that's fine. You don't owe us anything, but the public's going crazy, the media's going crazy, the
There it
sources,
is.
yeah, the leaks are
That's
going
the thing.
crazy. So what's going on? Like, what is LAPD doing right now?
Well, it seems as if there is definitely a rift between what the Emmy is doing and what the LAPD is doing. Right? Somebody has an issue with one another, and when you read that release yesterday from the LAPD, it seems as if the police have the rift with the Emmy's office. Now, the Emmy's office job is not to get involved in the criminal investigations. That
Yeah.
they're supposed to be, and this is where my argument lies.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I'm gonna say, Joe, because you were a cop, you're gonna side with the cops. Yes and no. The Emmy's office job is not to get involved in investigations, period. Their job is to find out the cause and manner of death, provide enough you provide certification, provide enough information so that the LAPD or any police agency could launch their investigation and do just that. That's their only role. Their role should not be involved in getting any other information out to the public, not making any statements about anything, because that only muddies the water. We saw it
Yeah.
in Idaho when the coroner came out in Idaho, remember? And I don't know if we did a show on that because we were doing shows like pretty often at that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I always said if I had hair, I'd pull it out because at this, I had never seen a coroner or a medical examiner come out and talk about the crime scene and everything else. That is bad policy. They're supposed to be two distinct different agencies that they are not beholden to one another. They have two separate jobs and they're supposed to work in harmony. That's the bottom
Mhm.
line between the two. And when you see this kind of stuff, it affects other cases going forward too. So my advice to LA and the LA coroner's offices, if there is one or two people that are, warring factions between the two things, remove them. Get them far away from this because it's going to affect every investigation going forward, and you're going to have defense attorneys lining up left and right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just like, what's going on? I personally, I said it though. I'm like, they just are not agreeing on whatever's going on. And look, you obviously know this better than I do, but the public helps out a lot with these cases.
Yeah. But they also getting there's also we talked about this. I talked about this with Franz Bogart yesterday about are they becoming an issue where we're forcing police departments in LA, in this case, the coroner's office, coming out with information where they normally wouldn't have because of the pressure is so immense on this thing. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
maybe.
it's it's a problem. I mean, we've seen it and now in a couple of cases where social media pressure and the media, the traditional media, is becoming a lot.
Yeah, I guess I'm just like, I just feel like with the police, or I guess I should say LAPD at this moment, because Nima Rahmani, our friend, I've done some interviews with him, or just gotten some information from him for articles and stuff with the magazine, and he has echoed what a lot of people have echoed. Like the LAPD is not great sometimes, and they're not great at these type of investigations. I don't have enough experience, I guess, with them, but what I've seen so far, I can't I don't have a comment on it per se, because I know that police do like to keep things close to the vest. They are working on it. They don't want to mess up their investigation in any way. But I also do think that online sleuths have done an incredible job in piecing certain things together, and they should be a little bit
Yeah.
more receptive to that. I really believe they've done such a good job. So,
I don't disagree. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't disagree that there are a lot of talented people out there that can do some really good work. The problem that comes down to for law enforcement is that it has to be, first of all, vetted. That's the first thing. Second thing is there needs to, police departments need the trail of how you got that information, right? You just can't say
right.
here it is, right? They have to know the entire process, where it started, how you put A to B to C to D to E. You
Yeah.
just can't say, all right, here's the answer Z. Doesn't The
Yeah.
prosecutor will throw you out of the office because it's not going to help. You have to have the entire chain of custody in regards to what they find. So the internet sleuths, they're great. It's good for newscasting and everything else, but for the courtroom, it's not going to work.
You're right. No, that's a great point. Great point. But one thing I did notice that they didn't say, oh, well, that's not true, because they also said she wasn't decapitated. They didn't say that there was no second suspect. I mean, I thought, even though they're not going to tell us who a suspect is anyway, that was the other
Yeah,
thing we talked about. We're like, David's always been a suspect. This isn't news. Like, she was
yeah.
found in his car. Like, he did all these. He transferred his homes to his mom. He canceled his
On
tour. He canceled his release of his
on the
album. Like, what?
on
Sold his
TMZ's
house.
post
Yeah, moved
on
out of his
TMZ's
house.
post
Whatever.
on TMZ's post on Facebook when they said, "Oh, breaking news! There was a refrigerator in the house," and I bet you there's a toilet too. I mean,
Joking, like, oh, there's a freezer. You guys nailed it. You
it's
got
like,
this
oh
one.
God. It's like, guys,
Yeah.
okay. But then,
Yep.
a lot of people picked up on it, and I had said from the beginning, guys,
Yeah.
this it didn't make any sense, right? Why would you go through the I guess is a terrible word, but the hassle of decapitating a body and then putting the head with the body? The idea behind decapitating somebody or taking off their hands or the arms is so that they cannot be identified.
Yeah.
So if you and it's not easy. On television, in the movies, it's pretty easy, but
Mm.
the in reality, doing this is not an easy task. And the issue that comes down to is, to me, it would make absolutely no sense that you would go through all of this and then put everything together in the trunk of this Tesla, which is in the front of the vehicle.
Yes.
For those
Well,
that don't.
I thought maybe, because they had originally also said, that the tattoo was shown on her finger. So you're not getting rid of a very or whatever, an identifying feature, that's there. They also said that she was wrapped in some kind of plastic upon discovery, but they also said that she was wearing a yellow tube top and black pants and had wavy hair. So I that's when I was just like, well, I don't really know if you would dismember a body that's clothed, and that sounds awful, but it just leads me to ask more questions. But I just thought maybe that the body was not together because of storage reasons, and the frunk is smaller than a regular trunk, right? So that's what I thought. But man, I've been accused of flip-flopping on this case, but I'm like, I flip-flop based on the information I'm seeing and the information I'm told. So that's why I flip-flop. I have no freaking clue at this point what's going on.
Yeah, listen, and to have a second suspect, whatever. Listen, we know that this car's got cameras on it. We know that they've. Well, I guess we don't know if they've actually
9
officially gotten.
cameras.
Yeah. So, I've been told that you could shut those cameras off, but still, you'd have video of the person shutting the cameras off at the time too.
Yeah,
The other thing
yeah,
comes down to is a very wealthy neighborhood. Video surveillance cameras, I guarantee you, are everywhere, and I'm sure they've got all this. They actually got the video cameras, I think, from the his residence that he was renting at the time.
yep.
And you posted something yesterday, and I had responded back to it about they said they were going to go back to the house, and I said,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, just tell us that quick for the time we have
So
left.
I was just curious, I was like, well, if this is true and, they got this report back, and this is just me adding on to this, that at one point she was frozen, whatever, because the Emmy's office did these testing or the testing. Couldn't police go back and, swab the fridge for DNA? Would that matter? And you had said, well, they would need a second warrant.
Second warrant. Yeah, you need
Yeah,
another warrant. So
right.
once you establish the warrant on probable cause, which you would have gotten pretty easily the first time around, you have this woman who's dead in the car. You think it happened in the house. I don't think any judge in the world is going to say, yeah, you don't have probable cause. But the problem comes down to is when you have to now go back, and this is where the judge gets a little upset with you because they said, maybe we should have done this the first time around. So they're going to have to now prove probable cause again in front of the judge, and they're going to have to do that, which might be a little tougher this time around. And then,
Mm,
especially if things aren't adding up, like Viv had put out here, like about the different, the decomposed body and the head separating. Could it have been done? Yeah, decomposition could have a body fall apart, so to speak, especially in that Los Angeles
right.
heat.
In the
For
heat.
I think
Yes.
I think the chief in the thing yesterday said that they were looking at 5 weeks. This was going
Yeah.
on. So yeah,
Yeah. Something like that.
so
I mean,
the decomposition would have been immense. But my other question is, how come nobody smelled this on the street? When the car was on the street before it got towed to the pound.
well, but
That's
this is where I go back to, like, if it was frozen, wrapped in plastic, it probably did need a day to start thawing out, whatever. But you're right. Nobody smelled anything until the tow yard. That's when the odor started to permeate. So
yeah,
it took a while. But I mean, I remember Steve Fisher interviewed multiple people in that neighborhood, and they were like, we didn't smell anything, nothing. So,
yeah, and you
yeah.
and you can. I mean, once you smell one, you could like I could tell the difference between
Oh,
like a deer on the side of the road and a human being. I mean,
oh,
it's a different kind of smell. So the last
oh.
couple minutes we have left, tell everybody, Lauren, what you're up to now. Tell us about this LA Mag gig. I think this is great.
Thank you. Thank you. So I guess I sort of started contributing, late August. And then I started to really just jump in full time shortly after that. So I'm a contributing reporter. I do a lot on their YouTube. You can, see all of my articles, all of my stories. And then I'm covering court cases for them as well. So you can, and if you have anything that you want me to cover that is I do obviously some Los Angeles stories, but a lot of New York, East Coast stuff as well. So, oh, Sheila, I miss you. Thank you. But yeah, I feel, you know, I'm overwhelmed, I should say, but in a good way. I'm just, you know, busy, but
No, it's great.
feeling,
You earned it. You
yeah,
earned it.
thank
So
you.
they I'm assuming they discovered you through your social media stuff, and that's how, with covering the Diddy trial. Is that how that happened?
They discovered me through Diddy, which was really, really nice. Yeah,
So
that was
just kind of
very
you kind of set the blueprint out for people who really want to do this, right? Do a great job, and you're doing this, and the next thing you know, it leads to a we'll call it a gig, right? We'll
yes,
call it a gig.
no, it's wonderful. I will say it's so wonderful. I'm really enjoying it. I do miss doing some pop crime stuff, so I need to get back and start making some time for that. But it's always something, man. I was up at like 4 a.m. being like, why haven't I gotten the court doc of like the block from the LAPD to the Emmys office? How did I not get that yet? How do other people have it? And I'm like waking up in a cold sweat, and I'm like, this is not normal. Like, not normal. Oh, thanks, Sherry.
TV,
Yeah.
congrats. So listen, thank you for your time today. We know we wanted to keep because you have to do your LA Mag stuff.
I do. I've got some deadlines, but Joe, can we do this like every week or every 2 weeks? My gosh, I really miss you.
When you have time for us, we will do it anytime you want. I mean,
Well,
I'd love to do something in the new year. I got some big plans. Oh, which reminds me, if anybody knows how to do Reddit, I started a Reddit feed for True Crime with the Sarge for 2026. I want to start getting into this stuff. We could share like Lauren's articles and those kind of things. I think it would be a great thing to do. So if anybody knows how to do Reddit, shoot me an email and we'll make you a moderator over there and we can start doing stuff.
I
All
love
right,
it. I'm
Lauren.
addicted to Reddit. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And everybody subscribe to Los Angeles Magazine, the YouTube if you don't already. Subscribe there because I'm all over that as well. So
very good. You hang out 1 second, Lauren. Everybody else, you
thanks,
guys have a
Joe.
great day.